love Michigan sports. Red Wings, Lions, Tigers, Pistons, Michigan State, and the list goes on. And you love beer. Who doesn't? What if we mixed the two together? This is State of My Sports. We'll talk everything Michigan sports, like only we do, and then we'll down our fair share of beer from a local brewery, grading the beer throughout the episode. So pop a cold one on your end, and we'll get busy on ours. This is the State of My Sports.
Yes, it is. This is episode 130, and today we are at DeHop Brewing Company and Cafe. And today we're going to talk really both Michigan State teams, see how they responded after the big matchup between the two. Michigan got the win. MSU did not. We're going to talk about both those games, kind of preview more of the Michigan game, not necessarily the State game. I don't think there's much to dig into with that one. But we're also going to talk preview our Michigan State basketball season. We're going to try to zoom through as quick as we can. We can get kind of long sometimes when we do the previews. I don't think it will be this year or this week. No, I don't.
We don't. Yeah, we don't do that.
Never on Lions Talk?
No. Which we don't have Lions Talk today because they have the bye. I do want to talk about them in the intro a little bit, but we'll get in that here in a minute. But we'll make our DeHop Brewing Company and Cafe. Nope, not our DeHop Brewing Company and Cafe. We are at DeHop Brewing Company and Cafe.
Ta-da!
We will make our betting hero picks, and then we will also grade our Siciliano's Market Michigan beers. I didn't even look at I tried not to look at my sheet, and I think
well done.
I saw that
you
my
just
sheet,
now started to feel it.
Still said Tigers, and I was like, oh boy, I can't even look at this now. I forgot to change that. We're not talking Tigers. I got voted out of that one.
You did not. You made an executive decision, and I'm still not happy about it.
I feel like you made 3 different decisions earlier.
I tried to make a decision and throw it out there and be like, okay, this is the decision I made. And I get no response. I'm like,
no, I responded
right,
3 times. That's a new record for me. Come on.
That's a good point. But yeah, we're at the house. We're going to have a good time doing that. If you're joining us live on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or Twitch, all of those are streaming live. You can get your comments in there, and we'll try to read them as they come across the screen. We'd love to know what you guys think about all these our teams. So, yeah, we'd love your opinions. I'm Sam Waltart. With me today we got Ryan Waltart.
Hello.
And Micah Smith.
Yo.
Before we jump in, I did want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors to help keep this thing rolling and free for our listeners. The Hops Brewing Company and Cafe is the official brewery of State of My Sports.
Oh, yeah.
Siciliano's Market helps us pick out our Michigan beer from the state of Michigan. Mac Web Design helped us get our website up and running. And Betting Hero helps us and you get the best promotions available in the sports betting world. So check out all of our sponsors and let them know that you heard about them on State of My Sports podcast. It helps us out a lot. So just really would appreciate that. So Mike, you were talking, is this our first episode since Halloween or second? This will be our second, right? But you were gone. You were talking about all the candy you've been eating and you didn't want Gary to know about it. Is that what you were saying earlier?
Yeah.
How much candy have you eaten?
Wow.
A lot of candy.
Huge.
Sam.
Under the bus.
Micah. Boom.
And who's the driver? It's Sam.
Yeah.
And I am driving.
And he's going to back up.
Yeah.
Go forward.
Just a little bit of back and forth.
She does know I'm eating that candy because the kids are not eating it. Someone's eating it, and it's this guy.
What's your go-to? Are they like gummies? Are they chocolate?
Well, I started out with what I don't have anymore, which would be Milk Duds. So my thing is, if I start eating chocolates, I can't just switch over to like fruits or like something like that.
Yeah.
You know, like the sugary stuff like that.
You go.
It's got to be
chocolate.
It's got to be all chocolate.
Yeah.
And then if I start with the fruit stuff, I got to keep it with the fruit stuff.
Okay.
You know, like the gummies and whatnot.
That makes sense. Yeah. See, for
gummies,
me,
Starburst, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I crave the gummies and like the fruity stuff more. So I start with the chocolate and then I end with the fruit.
Oh.
I go back and forth. I go fruit, chocolate, and then I combine at the end. No, I don't do either, actually.
Baby Ruth. Sour Patch Kids,
yeah.
Snickers bar. It's so good.
Oh, man, what a combo.
We do have a comment already. What's that comment? That's Carrie, of course, getting the first one in there. Can you read that or no? Or nope, your computer's not.
The Wi-Fi is not working.
If he doesn't want me to know, then he shouldn't leave the wrappers on the out.
So Mikey, I'm telling you, you put it in a bag, you put it in a box, something like that, close it up, and then throw it away.
I must have left one wrapper on the floor. I think I saw it the other night.
I take stuff out of the trash, throw it in, push it down.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I take the trash out just to get rid of it.
You got to bury it, yeah. You're like trying to calculate like how much money this trash bag costs versus how much you want to get caught in this. It's like, it's probably worth it.
Totally worth it.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. We were going to talk some playoff rankings. They're actually not out yet. They come out here in about 5 minutes, allegedly. We'll see. But, if we're still talking, maybe chit-chatting, we can talk about them. I'm really interested to see if Michigan, like where Michigan State, obviously, hey, what are the odds? State of My Sports podcast wants to know where Michigan State land. No, but
right.
I'm curious if Michigan's going to be ahead of Michigan State. Do you think that they should be or no? Because I think they should.
Good debate.
I think they should be, and I think everybody thinks I'm wrong.
For obvious reasons, aside from the head-to-head matchup.
I agree with that.
Okay.
And so we can talk about it. We can talk about it right now,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
Let's just talk about it. Let's go off script.
Who's got the worst loss?
Michigan State.
Michigan State. So that would be the argument. The argument for Michigan State would be they beat them head to head.
Yeah.
So it's an obvious thing. Like nobody could ever argue with that. But again, you go back to they lost to was Purdue unranked?
They were unranked.
Okay,
Completely
so
unranked.
That'll be interesting to see.
Which
if
they will
jump into
probably they will because they were like probably 26 to 28, somewhere around that range. So if Purdue was out of the top 25, they just beat Michigan State. That's an unranked opponent when Michigan just lost to a top 10 team at the time, who this week was number 3. So I mean,
a lot of people are saying that. And honestly, going back to the Michigan State game, I think push comes to shove, Michigan was the better team. I really do. I think Michigan State found a way to win a game, and I'm not faulting them for that. I'm not saying they were lucky. They went out and won that football game. That doesn't mean they're the better team. Because I'm sorry, Texas A&M is not better than Alabama. So if your argument is head-to-head, okay, well then let's really throw things for a loop and say, all right, well Texas A&M needs to be ranked ahead against Alabama then. Even if Oregon loses, they have to be ahead of Ohio State. And if you're going to play that game, it's going to get real messy real quick. You know what I mean? So I hate that being everybody's first argument. If Michigan State fans think Michigan State is better, tell me why. Don't tell me head-to-head. And if Michigan fans think Michigan is better than Michigan State, tell me why.
Well, that is the best argument for why you think one team is better than the other, because they beat them. I mean, I'm just saying,
it's
realistic terms.
It's the easy argument.
Well,
because look, Jacksonville's not better than the Buffalo Bills, are they?
Yeah, no,
That's
very
a good
true.
point.
Very true.
That just happened.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm just saying that's the easy argument, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying I disagree with your point. Plus, where was the game played? It was played at Michigan State. Key random things happened with weather rolling in as soon as the big mistakes happened on one side and not the other.
And we don't need to dig back into the game, but I think it's just
it's an interesting debate. It's fun
to see when it happens.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose any sleep if Michigan State's 7 and Michigan's 8
Nope.
or 5 and 6. That's not going to bother me at all.
What was?
I don't care.
Michigan was 7.
I think they're 7. Yeah.
Or they 8.
I thought it was 7.
They were 7
After that loss?
Yeah.
Yeah. So last week
they dropped to 7 or 8.
They were 7. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think
Because they
7
stayed
sounds
pat
right.
then.
So I mean, but then you're saying a 3 loss to an unranked, and then a 7 won the game they were supposed to win. So that in normal terms, that you'd obviously think with those standings at that point, you would expect the 7 to leapfrog the 3. So there's a logical argument both sides.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what
the
playoff committee does. And the cool thing about it is there's still so much to play. Yeah, there's only 3
Plenty.
games left. But it's going to be
3 is plenty.
It's going to be a massive shakeup. And that's the cool thing. It's like Oklahoma. If they take care of business, there's going to be a couple teams ahead of them that have to lose it. So they'll jump in. If Michigan and Michigan State beat Ohio State, they'll jump both of them. And it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I think it's a fun thing to talk about. Once if you can keep an eye out for the rankings, Micah, and then maybe we can jump into that. I did want to touch a little bit on the Red Wings. They've come off of a losing streak and won 2 straight now. So that's awesome.
They're up 3-0.
They're up 3-0. Who got? I saw
Dude.
it was a Larkin that just scored, right? Who got the second one? Did you see that or no?
I did not.
I'll look it
which
up.
is awesome. 3-0 against Edmonton, the top team in the West. So pretty dang cool. I think they're 9-1.
Nemestikov got 2 now.
He's got 2 now. Look at that. That's awesome. Playing good hockey. I like the way that they're playing. Nice to have Larkin back. He makes a difference. He does.
So how about Sider with the game winner?
Sider with the OT winner.
Let's go.
That was pretty sweet.
That was
actually,
awesome.
and he also got Rookie of the Month of October, which is awesome.
I love the way he plays. He is so patient and in control.
Yeah.
Like, I know maybe there's some mistakes here and there, but he just seems to be a guy. I don't know.
He's a dude.
Yeah, he really is.
You can trust him.
Yeah.
That's the key. If you can trust your defenseman and still put him in crucial situations, power play, penalty kill, against top teams. I was really interested to watch this game. I have it recording. I'm going to watch it probably when I get home because I wanted to see him like against McDavid and Draisaitl and Edmonton as a whole. Like it's a pretty good team. They're obviously 9-1.
Oh, yeah.
100%. So I was really looking forward to that. Obviously, this is more important.
What about Bertuzzi? What do you think about him so far?
Love what he's doing. He is
playing out of his mind.
He is taking a big step. Now, hopefully it's not a hot streak. That's one thing with hockey players is you can get in those streaks and you can get blinded by, a really nice hot streak. You are leading the league in this and you're doing that. You're right there at the same level as, some big names. I got to see it long term, but I love what he's doing. I love what he's doing.
So
and
when
he's out of the lineup, when they're in Canada, you can tell that it's a big, big difference.
There's a
I'm not
hole.
losing sleep over it, trust me, but you can tell. He
you
makes
must be sleeping really well lately.
Yeah, massive difference in the lineup, in the way that this team plays. I love what he's doing.
I think Bertuzzi so far has just been. He looks like he has a role in this team that's like the grown up in the room, and he owns it. Like he's the guy around a bunch of these young talented kids. Not that he's taking away from them at all, but he's like, come on guys, and he's got this energy that everybody else like kind of comes along with him.
Yeah, no.
So
he's
he's
really
grown
cool to
into
see.
that role.
He fits really well with the young guys. I think the young guys will look at him as the leader more than a guy like Larkin, because Larkin's more like, this is what I do. Like, I'm just really good.
Well, he's rock solid, right?
Yeah, but like Bertuzzi's like, I can do it all, and I'm gonna be right in the mix of all of the crap, and I'm like, he's an antagonizer, but he's also scoring goals. He's putting up points. His
stick handling is awesome.
When he's on the ice right now, he's the best player on the ice.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm
I'm watching that. I'm not saying if he's going against McDavid and Draisaitl that he's better than them, but for the Red Wings, he's our best player.
Well, and you look at the way he plays defense on the opposing side of the opposite side of the ice. I'm not with the hockey terms. I'm obviously like way beyond like where I should be, but he's constantly like intercepting the puck.
Yeah.
And he's constantly putting himself in a great position to do something,
Yep.
to make something happen. And Raymond has actually benefited a lot from that because he's always in the right spot to be, like finish it off.
Yeah.
Or make the one
great.
extra pass.
They're a really fun combination. Now the forecheck's great. Neutral zone, they're coming in with speed way more than you've seen in the past. I think a lot of it has to do with the defense making that first pass and really being more aggressive. It's fun to see. Yeah, they're getting caught with a lot of goals against in these games.
Oh yeah.
When it goes bad, but man, they're a fun team. Pistons. Ryan, jump in. Tell me what your thoughts are on the Pistons real quick.
Yeah, Pistons are tough right now. They really didn't start the season very well at all. They've lost what are they, like 1-8 right now, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so.
But I will say, they started the season without Cade Cunningham, the first like 3 or 4 games, and then Killian Hayes was out the last game, and then we've just been having like Jeremy Grant was out a game, so it's just been really weird.
So what I'm hearing is Cade looked head and shoulders better than he has with Killian out of the lineup. Do you think there's something about that, or is that just an easy argument here?
Well, it's an easy argument. He started turning a corner with Killian in the lineup, and the game before this when Killian was playing, they actually had really good numbers together. They looked like they were making a difference, and the defense-offense combination there was really good. I actually think Killian's playing better with Cade on the floor.
Okay.
Because it takes pressure off of him to be the main ball handler, and Killian struggles with confidence right now. So if he can just kind of sit in the corner, step up and hit a 3 when it's needed, like there's a role for a lot of NBA players to just do that. to hit threes, and he's been better. He's been shooting the ball better, making better decisions. It's not all on him every time. And Cade has been doing a really good job of pushing the ball and making easy plays for other people, so you don't always have to run a half-court offense.
Yeah. Has the key kind of been like the sophomore slumps for some of these guys? These second-year guys they're not into the groove yet that they need to be for the secondary scoring and for this team to really be, when things are going well, they put up 120 points.
Yeah, Sadiq Bey has definitely been going through something. He's shooting the ball a lot, and they haven't been falling.
Okay.
He's a better shooter than that. He'll break out of that slump. I think Isaiah Stewart has been playing really well defensively, but he's not putting up big numbers right now, which is surprising considering he put up basically better numbers last year in a limited role. So I expect him to do something different too. But I think the main takeaway for the Pistons right now is they have been playing legit competition to start the season right now. And so I'm talking like they lost 2 to the Bulls, which the Bulls are playing great. They have a good team, retooled lineup, all that stuff really good. Then they lost to the Hawks. Then they lost to the 76ers. They beat the Magic, the only good bad team that I've listed here. Yeah. And then they lost 2 in a row then they lost to the Nets, the Bucks, the 76ers again, and the Nets again. We're talking like the 6 best teams in the East are the only teams they've played. The only teams.
Wow.
And the Nets, they just lost 96-90, and Cade was shooting out of his mind down in the fourth quarter last game, so it was fun to see. I think you're going to see like their next games, Rockets, Cavs, Raptors, Kings, Pacers, Warriors. You're going to see some of those be more competitive than what we've seen just because of the competition.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see the Cade Cunningham against Jalen Green, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what people
1
are looking
versus
forward
2.
to. We actually have it on our picks this week. So.
And I would love to see or to have people pay attention. If you're worried about Cade, go watch Jalen Green. Go look at his stats. Some games he shoots, he's scoring like 21 points in a game or something, and he shoots 6 3-pointers. And then the next game he goes 0 for 11 from 3 and scores 6 points.
One thing I think we need to pay attention to are these third year guys that are really starting to get their groove. I think we were talking about Jordan Poole earlier and how he's leading. Is he leading the Warriors, or is he like right up there with the Warriors?
No, he's right behind Steph Curry.
There's some other guys like third, fourth year guys that are finally getting into their rhythm. Guys that were in the G League, at times, and then are really starting to find their way. I think the Greens and the Cunninghams of the world can kind of fall into that. It's like we don't need to push it. They're still so raw and so young. We don't need to overreact to it. But it'll be fun to see these guys develop throughout the year.
Yeah, Frank Jackson's starting to play better. We've had a lot of people shooting really cold so far.
Yeah.
And I think it's a result of always playing out of a half-court offense. So it'll change.
It is time to introduce our Michigan beers for this episode, but before we do, I want to remind everyone of our partner, Siciliano's Market. They are simply the best beer store in West Michigan, located on Lake Michigan Drive, right between Grand Valley State University's main campus and downtown Grand Rapids. Wherever you live in West Michigan, it is worth the short drive for what they have to offer. Whether you know what you want or need some help from their expert staff, Siciliano's Market is the best place for that. They not only have a massive and up-to-date inventory of the best craft beers from across our great nation, they are individually priced so you can mix and match to build your own six-pack. They obviously have a great selection of craft beer. They also have specialty wines, spirits, ciders, coffee, tea, tobacco, and cigars. Siciliano's Market also has the largest selection of homebrew and winemaking supplies in West Michigan. We love that Siciliano's Market is part of the State of My Sports family, and it is who we visit to help us choose our Michigan beers for each and every episode. So please check them out and let them know that we sent you. So we are at the DeHop Brewing Company Cafe, obviously in Walker, Michigan, Standale area, if you're familiar, right by the new Chick-fil-A. Have you been to the Chick-fil-A yet, Ryan?
We just went Saturday morning, or like Saturday for lunch, I guess.
You did?
Yeah, we did.
Wait, here?
As a family. Yeah,
To
right
this
here.
one? I thought you guys were gone this weekend.
We went on our way
On your
down,
way?
on our way over to the east side.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stopped at this Chick-fil-A. Took 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So we were about an hour into the
That
trip,
is
and we hadn't
definitely
left the city.
Not a good way to start your trip out of
That was
town.
not my decision, but I swallowed my pride. I said,
then
you
you
know what,
swallowed the
for
chicken
you.
sandwich.
Yes, I did. I actually got a salad, which their salads are actually really good.
I've heard they've been good. I would never order it, but
Oh, I did.
yeah.
I did because every time I get a chicken sandwich, I'm like, man, that was really good. And then I'm done, and Jillian's eating a salad for like an hour and a half because it's so much food. So I'm just like, I wanted to eat more.
So we had hockey on Saturday morning.
Yep.
At what time were you there? I'm curious.
11:30.
Okay, so a little bit before us. We got there, at like 12 You probably got there like
Wait,
12, 10.
were you in your car?
Yeah, I was.
Oh yeah, I saw you.
Did you really?
Yeah, we were in the
You
same
guys
line.
were probably still. So you got there at 11:30, but you left at 11:50 or 12:10 or something.
Well, we probably got like coffee first, so maybe it was like even 12 by the time we got in the line.
That's so fun. Yeah, you did.
I
see
saw
me?
it. Yeah, I saw you. Yeah.
Why didn't you text me or something?
I was driving. I couldn't text and drive.
You were parked in a.
Yeah,
line.
yeah, you're right.
What did
I'm not
you want
happy
him
with
to
you right
text
now.
you?
Well, Mike,
Hi.
yeah, just I would have. Oh, you know,
Hey, neighbor.
Easton would have been pumped, man. He was with me, but you were there. You were probably in the same line we were because you were there. You got there maybe 15 minutes before me, 10 minutes before me.
Really?
I looked at the line and I thought, you know what? They always go fast. So I
It
get in line, and by
did
the
not.
time I got my food, I was so hungry. I was getting it slightly frustrated, but I was staying nice
Yeah,
because the Chick-fil-A workers are always
They're
nice.
so nice.
they weren't that for me though.
No, they're lost.
I was a little frustrated.
They're definitely lost, but they're
Yeah.
still nice.
So, yeah, I told Jillian, I'm like, she's like, well, no, the lines go super fast at Chick-fil-A. I'm like, this is brand new. Everybody is in training. This is not
Yeah.
going to go fast.
Yeah,
See,
And it did not.
It's new to the town because it's the double lane all the way
it's the
through.
very first one that does that. By the way,
Really?
very first Chick-fil-A, at least in the state of Michigan. I
It
could be
feels
wrong.
like, yeah, I don't even know what, it feels like a bank or something like
Yeah.
that. Like I was waiting for my Chick-fil-A nuggets to come shooting up from the ground.
They're set up like that down in Georgia.
Oh, are they?
Yep.
So like I was a little frustrated because I was in line, right? And we're getting up there. We order our food and it's taking forever.
You're in the right lane.
I'm in the right lane. Yeah. How'd you?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
He knows. He actually does know.
Say
This
hi.
Is driving me. But anyways, this worker's coming out. He comes out. I'm like towards the very front, waiting for my food, and I'm like waiting patiently. Easton's losing it in the back, but so I'm like kind of just have the window down, listening, and this guy's like walking. He walks to the car, like 2 cars in front of me. He goes, "Hey, they made this extra chocolate shake. Do you want it?" To this car, 2 cars in front of me. I'm like,
here.
And he says no. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 1 away. This is gonna be mine. I'm like pumped. I'm already trying to go through in my head. I'm
gosh.
like, do I just share this with Easton and not bring it home to everybody else, or do I have to split this little chocolate shake 5 ways? Like, how do I do this?
Well, you never do that.
So I'm like preparing myself to just trying to think it through, and how do I keep Easton quiet and not tell Andrea and Peyton because they're not going to be happy. Jordan's not going to know what's going on. But so I'm like sitting there. I'm just like, all right, what's going to happen? But then the stinking car in front of me took it.
Oh.
And the guy, like I even made eye contact with the worker. I'm like, like, you're going to give it to me?
I know the guy you're talking about.
My kid
Yeah, I'm
loves
sure you
ice
do.
cream.
Yeah, right lane, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so mad. But I still got my food. It was good. I love Chick-fil-A. Their food's good. That was my first time there, though. And they've been open, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, that's
Also
my first time too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same day.
All on Saturday.
What were we supposed to be doing? We
You
were
went
supposed to
home
be
first. You went home first, and then you went out. That's
Yeah,
what
I
threw
did.
Jillian for a loop. I'm like, that's Sam. She's like, no, he was home. I'm like, yeah, no, but we got coffee, and that's Sam. I know it's Sam.
Were you guys in? Were you behind?
I was
me?
a little bit behind you, like 3 cars.
Oh my! You didn't even say anything.
Why didn't you
get out?
text him?
Dude, I ran up to your window and said hi, and you completely ignored me.
I gave you double middle fingers.
Yeah.
Didn't I
he
thought
was
you were a
focused on his
worker.
chocolate shake.
So then I went to text you, but I couldn't text and drive. So I'm just saying.
Well, you just don't know how to text. What were we supposed? We were supposed to be grading or introducing beers. What are we drinking? We're at DeHop's, obviously, for the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
for
is
the
this
people
a
that
sports podcast or
yeah,
Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A podcast.
Yeah, I don't know.
New sponsor, maybe.
I think
I'd be game.
all of us are drinking the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
we are. Yeah.
Okay, so we're drinking Stan's Graham Cracker Ale. It's a 5.4%er. And I'm going to read the little description here. Brewed in collaboration with homebrewer Stan Straight for the Beer City Brewers Guild Pro-Am competition. So it's competition beer. I love it. This golden ale is brewed with 100 pounds of Graham Cracker, creating a sweet but not too sweet beer.
Wait, 100 pounds of graham cracker?
Yeah, 100 pounds.
100 pounds. You don't have
Yeah.
any idea how many graham crackers it would take to make 100 pounds of graham crackers? They're so lightweight.
Yeah, it's a
That's
great
insane.
point. So yeah, that's
soak
what,
it in water
before
first?
you describe it anymore, if you're not Arvon, thank you for watching Arvon. We love your guys' beer. Arvon's drinking Trail Pills. We all, I think
Hey.
one of us had one of those recently.
Yeah, I had
Trying to
one of
remember,
those.
was it you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Trail Pills.
thanks for watching Arvon.
Awesome
We love
beer.
your guys' beer. You guys do awesome stuff. So cheers to you guys. Was that describing it? What was the percentage of that one?
5.4.
5.4.
Crushable.
Crushable.
It really is.
Good
How
stuff.
easy is this to drink? Yeah.
Good stuff.
Drinking craft beer, having fun, and talking sports in the state of Michigan. You're listening to State of My Sports.
Michigan State went into Purdue and lost to unranked Boilermakers.
Yep.
I think so. I heard somebody call them the spoiler makers. That was really creative.
Good dad joke.
I wish I came up with that. 40-29, allowing Aiden O'Connell to go 40 of 54 for 536 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Demetrius Bell to have 11 catches for 217 yards and a touchdown through the air. Thorne went 20 of 30 for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns, another one on the ground as well, and an interception. With Naylor out, Reed led the team with 73 yards on 4 receptions, but Trey Mosley stepped in and had the 2 touchdowns through the air. Walker kept things rolling with 146 yards on 23 carries for a 6.3 average and a touchdown. Obviously, I mean...
I feel like he had to earn that. Kenneth Walker?
Kenneth Walker did.
He had to earn it, yeah.
So even watching the game, and I'll get into it a little bit, but like originally I thought that they went away from Kenneth Walker way too soon. But then I looked and he had 23 carries. And when you were behind by multiple scores, late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, like you kind of have to go away from the running game. It's just what you have to do. Looking at the kind of the play-by-play and rewatching it, it's like, man, they actually kept pounding it with them. They didn't go away from it. I was surprised when I saw the numbers because watching the game, obviously frustrating to watch a game like this when you want Michigan State to win because you just feel like you're playing pretty good, but it's just
the momentum was there.
Yeah, but you just can't stop them, right?
Well, we called it. We called this was a trap game. It felt like it. We thought it was not because of the coaching and the way they would prep the players for this, but I don't know if we give enough credit to Purdue going into this either.
Well, we talked a little bit about the threat of Bell and the passing game in general because they can't run the ball. We knew that going in, and we obviously saw what Michigan did the week before, kind of exposed them. Yeah. And I think Purdue took that exposure and ran with it. And look, Michigan State didn't play as good of a game as they did against Michigan. I don't think there's any question that this was a good, like a well-played game. But I thought that they were watching it the second time around. I thought they were prepared. I thought that the scheme was actually, pretty well thought out. And they just couldn't get off the field. Was really what it came down to. And the passing game against it absolutely destroyed
They
them.
picked him apart. Yeah,
It really did.
It surprised me how little pressure Michigan State actually got on quarterback too. I mean,
that was
Aiden O'Connell had a lot of time to make something up. To survey the field, go from check 1, check down to 2, 3, and then go all the way back to the other side of the field. And as he's rolling out,
come back
and
to
then,
option 1 at times.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, so
which is Bell, obviously.
Yeah, and it was just surprising. He had plenty of time.
He did a good job. He moved around. Like it wasn't that I didn't think they were getting pressure. I thought the way he was moving in the pocket was he was very creative in that way.
Absolutely, 100%. And there's a lot to be said about what the execution with Purdue and their offense and just the big plays. Like it took real execution against this Michigan State defense to score as much as they did, but they never really missed a beat. Like you just think about even like the second touchdown over the shoulder in the corner of the end zone, that had to be a perfect throw and catch. And he beat his man, but by the time the ball was out of O'Connell's hand, he didn't even know that he beat his man yet. So he had to throw it deep to the corner where only his guy could get it. And it was a perfect throw, perfect catch, 1 foot in the end zone, touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, it was impressive. And I thought that, is it O'Connell? O'Connell is the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
He looked great.
Yeah, but
he played a almost perfect game.
He really did, yeah. And I mean, 40 of 54 for 536 yards, 3 touchdowns. That is nuts. Mm-hmm. And we're talking against the number 3 team in the country. Michigan State failed to make the big plays when they needed it to take the ball out of his hands. And so we can give credit as much as as I really think he earned to O'Connell for how well he played, and even Bell, with the game he had. But really, Michigan State failed to make those big plays and failed to step up when it needed most. It failed to make something happen on defense from the defensive perspective to force the big time fumble, score, create some points. Yeah. Get to the quarterback on a regular basis where he couldn't do something, where it's not just one guy where he's escaping from, but multiple guys, pressure from the middle, make it hard on him.
I think that's what one thing that was the most interesting is you were waiting for them to make that one play, right? That defense. And then they did. And then we'll get into that here because they did make that they did create that turnover, but then it just they didn't follow through. I thought one thing that's very interesting, and out of all 130 Power 5 college football teams, Michigan State has dead last pass defense in the country.
Really?
Yes. And that right there needs to get fixed. It needs to get fixed quick because you're about to face a Maryland team that knows how to throw the ball, Ohio State, who obviously knows how to throw the ball.
Yeah, that's
and
not
Penn State as well.
That's looking worse and worse against Ohio State right now with that passing offense.
Yeah. So Mel Tucker, he's got to get this figured out. And here I am on the wrong thing. Sorry, I don't know why I had to announce that, but he's got to get it fixed. The reason why it made me think is because the question for the audience was, do you trust that Mel Tucker can fix this pass defense? And
you need to fix it in a hurry.
You need to fix it now. I'm not putting them on upset alert this time. I think last week the spread told us something, and that they should have been on upset alert. And we talked about how it could happen. We didn't think it would, obviously. Maryland is a different ballgame that I don't think it can happen. You know what I mean? I don't see a path other than the pass defense. The passing game. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm moving ahead, but I don't know. They need to get it fixed.
Well, I think Michigan State knows who they are now. They know their weakness. If they're self-scouting at all, they know this at this point. So what they need to do is decide one way or another what they're going to do. They're either going to sell out to stop the run and let their athletes play one-on-one on the outside and get burned sometimes, but maybe make a big play. Yeah. Or they abandon the run defense. They sell out to get to go after the quarterback to help their pass defense. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to be in this position where they're making this is a coaching decision on a game-by-game basis what they're going to be stopping. You cannot do both. They've kind of proven that at this point.
Yeah, no, so I agree.
Maryland, I think it's doable. They can go all out, and their pass rush should be good enough to attack the Maryland quarterback in their offense, in their offensive line, which isn't that impressive at this point. Mm-hmm. But against an Ohio State team, if they sell out against the pass defense and try to get after the quarterback, they're just going to start doing draws or screens to Henderson, and then that's not going to work out. So we don't have to get there at this point, but I think at this point what Michigan State struggles against, and if McNamara can throw 383 or 384 or whatever it was against them like a week ago, and then Purdue puts up over 500 yards against them,
it was like, obviously, that was a good sign for Michigan fans, right? Like when Cade put together what he did, that type of game, we were, hey, well, we got it. It works. It can work.
Yeah.
And then we were to see what this duo's doing. I mean, oh my gosh, it makes me a little less confident in Michigan's passing. Not that I've ever been confident in it, but like I was a little bit optimistic, And now I'm just like, ooh, maybe that was just the sign of the times, like in that game. Saw what I did there.
Yeah, I saw what you did there. But 130th though, we're talking dead last.
Yeah, that's really really bad
rank. That is.
It doesn't get any worse.
It is very concerning, and which is, I cannot believe we're talking about this right now after last week and then being number 3 in the country. Yeah. And they didn't have. And this game goes, is a lot against their defense, so it's going to make them look really bad.
Yeah.
But dead last, like you couldn't pick one team that Ohio State's played at this point to be worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's very concerning. I've never been impressed with, I believe his name is Williams, outside transfer from Alabama, tall, number 9. But anyways, like they do have some weaknesses on this defense. I just didn't think it would be exposed as much as it has been the last several weeks.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree completely. And we talked a little bit about not getting the crucial turnover, but I mean, they kind of did. So this is, I think, a big chunk here, and it's going to be wordy. It's going to be a lot here, but I think it's the flow of it just changed everything. So just completely changed the game. So Michigan State got the forced fumble on the opening drive of the second half. They tied the game. And then on the next drive, they had two crucial mental mistake penalties, two 15-yard penalties that kind of, it didn't like change a fourth down into a first down or anything like that. But it helped Purdue kind of keep the drive moving and kind of get down the field quick. They got a field goal. I think it was a field goal. Sorry. Oh, man, I didn't write that down. But anyways, I think it was a field goal. And then Michigan State had a 3-and-out, 2 runs and an incomplete pass. The next drive, Purdue picked up a huge third and 10 to Bell, and extended the lead to 10. So sorry, it was a touchdown. Now it's a field goal. With the field, yeah. So they're up 10 now.
10 points.
Another 3-and-out. Purdue on the next drive picked up a 4th and 1, kicked another field goal right there, 13 straight points, where MSU had 6 total offensive plays right there. And that was between 12 minutes and 19 seconds left in the third quarter, all the way down to 13 minutes and 5 seconds left in the fourth quarter. 6 offensive plays. That right there is such a crucial moment. And on the upcoming drive after that was the interception at the goal line. Obviously, it was a 4th down. I don't want to fault the interception. It was an interception, but it was just kind of – it wasn't his fault. I'm not saying it was like a bad quarterback interception like Matthew Stafford spinning out of the end zone and throwing it to nobody or anything like that. But it was just and the drive ended at the interception at the goal line.
Yeah.
Do you think that they should have just kicked a field goal there? Down 13, or is that basically saying, you have to get a touchdown? I thought there was a lot of time left. And I guess the way the defense was playing, I understand it.
Yeah, there's a lot of time. I don't know.
But what was it? I think it was like a 4th and 6 or something, right?
Yeah.
From the 12. Like it was a really strange scenario where it's like, in the moment I didn't think it was the right decision.
With a short field, especially, like it's not an easy pickup.
Yeah.
It's not like you're at the 40-yard line or something.
Exactly.
Where you have space.
Yeah. I don't want to overthink that decision. Like that, I don't think.
Yeah, that wasn't the reason
the game or anything.
But it could have been.
It could have. Obviously, in hindsight, the 3 points would have been huge, and you would have been right in the game till the very end.
Let's not assume, but if we assume.
But I don't know. I think that was right there. Only 6 offensive plays, and that's what we've seen from this Michigan State offense is
really high highs.
They have really high highs,
yeah.
But their lows are 3-and-outs
and
nothing, and then it can get staggered right there. And that right there was another part that the offense let the team down.
Well, yeah, the offense let the team down, but top teams in the country. We're talking if they're the number 3 team in the country, if they are truly the number 3 team, you cannot play the game where your offense cannot. Their offense didn't play bad in this game. 2 drives. You're talking about 6 offensive plays, 2 3-and-outs in a row. That should not lose you a game. I'm just sorry. Especially against Purdue, that should not be the deciding factor if you win and lose in this game. But we're talking about it did pretty much. Like this is a big turning point in this game. Your defense has to be able to step up. They need to do something on special teams. They need to do something to make a difference in this game. And with this game, Michigan State was not good enough. I still believe in this team.
I do too.
I think
everything's in front of them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and
they're good enough to beat Penn State. They're good enough to compete and do something crazy against Ohio State. I really believe that. I think Ohio State has some weaknesses of their own. They showed it this week, especially
on defense.
There you go.
Defense is the key, and Michigan State's offense should be able to.
So it's going to be offensive execution against offensive execution, and then just a few critical big plays on defense or special teams that can make the difference in the game.
Yep.
I expect Ohio State to do that. That's the way they have always kind of played, especially in big games. But Michigan State has had their number in the past several times, and obviously new coaching staff. I wouldn't put it past them, I guess.
To be completely honest, I look at Michigan State. I think they are built better to as a matchup against Penn State than Michigan does. I think they match up better against Penn State. And I think Michigan, the way that they're built, matches up better against Ohio State than Michigan State was.
I thought the opposite.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Well, I don't think Michigan has to be perfect on offense to outscore Penn State, and I think Ohio State's going to put up points against Michigan, and I don't know if they can match that.
Okay.
So and I think Michigan State can with their offensive ability, their big playability, their big, huge swings. It's like a mood swing. You go from like completely out of the game to, hey, by the way, we're back in it.
See, that's exactly why I think Michigan State has a better chance against a Penn State, because Penn State can kind of get caught sleeping and kind of can get embarrassed at times.
So I've got
rankings are out.
The rankings are out. Okay, let's finish up the talk here, and then we'll jump to the rankings, and then we'll talk about the Michigan game. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So real quick, we're jumping now to the Indiana matchup. We kind of Maryland matchup. This has to be a must-win. We've already talked about how everything's in front of them, and you cannot slip up here. And I don't care if you win by 1. I don't care if you win by 100. It doesn't matter.
You got to win.
Just win. Style points don't matter. And Michigan State put themselves in a point that style points don't need to matter anymore. It is about winning, and that's it.
Both teams got to win.
Yep. I'd be shocked.
You know what? Style points don't even matter for the big teams right now. You look at what Alabama just did this week, Ohio State did this week, Cincinnati did this week. Nobody's winning on style. Just win.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, I agree. I just think you got to be a little careful because Tua's brother, I don't even want to try to say his name, Talia, to Jarrett, to their wide receiver, Jarrett, could be the problem that Bell and O'Connell was. I just don't think it's nearly as I don't think either of them are NFL guys, where I think Bell is obviously an NFL wide receiver.
100%.
But time will tell with Tua's brother and Jarrett, I guess.
There's a lot more holes.
Don't look past Maryland, though.
I don't think you can look past them at this point. No, obviously your back's against the wall.
But they're not as complete of a team as Purdue is.
Yep, I agree.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination, but once that week comes up, do not look past that game.
Yeah.
Don't get caught with your pants down.
I mean, we're talking about college athletes. Like, one little thing to start off the game wrong can, like, throw everything off. So don't do it, especially early.
Correct.
From the Red Wings to Michigan State, we're talking about it. This is State of My Sports.
All right, so as we were talking that Michigan State game, the rankings did come out. Micah, you have those for us. You want to go through them real quick?
1 through 20 I got. I missed.
Let's just focus on 1 through 10. That'll kind of get us the gist of what we need, right?
Start with
Love it.
1 through 5.
1 through 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, OSU, Cincinnati.
So Cincinnati jumped Michigan.
Yeah, Cincinnati went from 7 to 5, I believe.
8 to 5.
8 to 5? Well, either way.
They down at 8?
I thought Michigan was at 7 and Cincinnati was at 8. I thought that's how it was.
I thought Cincinnati was up at like
6?
No, I thought they were in the top 4.
No. They were down.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
so big story here. Michigan State obviously fell out. Ohio State and Oregon jump in, right?
All right, so we got Georgia, Alabama.
Georgia? I mean, my goodness. They're looking so good.
There's no question about that.
Georgia, Alabama, Oregon,
and Ohio State.
Ohio State are your top 4.
Okay.
And Cincy rounds out your top 5.
I don't care. I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. You know, Oklahoma hasn't earned it. Oklahoma's undefeated.
Yeah, no, I agree with this. I really do. I don't have any worries about that. All right, so let's get to 6.
Okay.
6, 7, and 8 maybe, or let's just go 6 through 10.
How about
6 through 10.
6.
Michigan.
Okay.
Number 6.
Michigan State, 7.
All right. That kind of answers our question. And what we talked about earlier, State fans are going to get their panties in a bunch.
Oh, yeah, they're going to hate it.
I'm not going to – I understand why they're frustrated, but we already had that conversation.
I love it.
We can talk a little more here in a bit. But
then
right.
8 through 10, you got Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State.
Okay. So let's just go back to the first 2. They're going to play each other, right?
Yeah.
They're going to play each other in the SEC championship. Now, if Georgia wins, Alabama, 2 losses, they're going to be out of the Final Four. I think they better be, right? Oregon and OSU already played each other. It'll be interesting to see.
Oregon's not a lock to win every game here on out. Oregon has looked beatable. UCLA was a close matchup, and it's not out of the question.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I looked at their schedule last week. I haven't looked at it.
It's not
this
too
week.
hard. I would say Ohio State has a harder schedule going against Michigan and Michigan State.
Yeah.
But it just feels like Ohio State is the better team with the better talent on the field, and Oregon feels more beatable.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get into the next three. Obviously, we got Cincy, Michigan, Michigan State. Let's focus on, or let's bring Oklahoma into that conversation too. Oklahoma doesn't really have any exciting wins, and they've looked bad against really good teams, really bad teams, or not great teams, I should say.
They just haven't.
They've looked mediocre in their wins.
They also play Oklahoma State coming up, right?
They do.
I don't know when.
I think it's the last game of the season. But that kind of will answer some questions. But let's focus here on Cincinnati, Michigan, and Michigan State. I feel like what this committee is trying to tell us here is if these three teams take care of business, they're going to get in. And honestly, I look at what Cincinnati jumped. So they were behind both Michigan and Michigan State last week. What are you looking at?
Wings are up 3-2 now.
Are they? Oh, great. How many Connor McDavid had?
Connor
Just
McDavid
one.
Yeah,
Just only one though.
So Cincinnati, I'm interested. I'm surprised that Cincinnati jumped Michigan. I think that's because the Michigan State loss, right? The fact that Michigan State lost to an unranked team, Cincinnati, that makes Michigan's loss look a little worse, maybe. And jump them and kind of see what happens. I guess. What do you guys think about that?
I think the longer you go in the year, they add more weight to being undefeated. Right? I mean, let's just be honest about it. Like this always happens. You'll get a 6 seed at the end of the year, and then as soon as they go undefeated regular season, they jump up into the 4. Not necessarily the Cincinnati's of the world every single year, but Cincinnati's gotten a lot of praise this year, and they have a little bit more weight than most of the teams outside of the
they
powers.
played Notre Dame. They played Indiana. There was one more game that I thought was supposed to be good.
Pitt. Did they beat Pitt?
I'll get you.
I don't know if they played Pitt.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know either. I don't know. I don't have their schedule memorized, but they're a little bit more proven than I think most schools outside of the Power 5 are at this time of the year. But the longer you go, they have, the undefeated teams jump and leapfrog more and more teams.
I don't know which game you're looking at.
No, I just realized I made a massive mistake. I thought Arvon Brewing was listening and
who was it?
It was Carrie. It was Carrie's. She's drinking Arvon Brewing Company's trail. That's what I get for not looking closer. But she also said this college football season is so crazy that all games just feel like a just-win situation. And I agree. Usually you're talking about style points, and this season's not about style points at all. It's not about how much you win. It's not about anything like that. It's just win. It's going to be crazy. But
so the other games that Cincy played was Temple, UCF, Tulane, Tulsa.
Yeah, I thought there was one more that was interesting, but yeah, I guess you're right.
Well, you mentioned Indiana, Notre Dame.
Yeah, those were their two big ones, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And with Notre Dame still being in the top 10. And I think that's the interesting thing is what they win by 8 against Tulsa.
6, I think. Wasn't it 26-20? And it took a goal line stand.
You said Tulsa?
Yeah.
28-20.
28. Okay, so you're right. But one-score game.
Yeah, one-score game. And I think that's the weird thing about them jumping us after just that.
Yeah, it wasn't impressive, but again, the longer you go as an undefeated team, the more respect you get. And I think they're getting more respect than normal teams in their situation at this point of the year.
Yeah. And can you real quick pull up the rest of Oregon's schedule?
Yeah.
And then we can I think that's enough of the...
Have you looked at Kayvon Thibodeau at all? His tape?
I like what I see. What does he have, like 27 pressures in 6 games or something?
Yeah,
crazy
he's doing
like
it.
that?
I mean, he's putting up big-time numbers. He's a freak athlete. He's crazy.
I'm also hearing more and more chatter about Aiden Hutchinson as a potential number 1.
Aiden is – I was just going to say he's putting up numbers like Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden's really putting up just as good or, if not better, pressure stats.
Yeah, why do you think that everybody's saying that Thibodeau's the guy then?
Well, Thibodeau has more
done
that
it before?
Thibodeau has more quick twitch ability on the outside where you think it translates more to sacks in the NFL. But not only that, he beats people with some power on the inside. I think Aiden might be more of a complete defensive end
Okay.
Like I'm talking like run.
Yeah.
More unique moves inside,
down
outside. Guy. Yeah, 4-down guy. But I don't know. Every once in a while, Thibodeau comes out and he literally shoves offensive tackles into their quarterback, and I'm like, I don't know where that strength came from. So, but he can be taken out of plays.
All right, real quick, let's talk a little bit about Oregon's schedule, and then we can wrap up the college football talk if you guys are cool with that.
Yeah, so they host Washington State, and then they go to Utah, and then host Oregon State.
Okay, Oregon State's the one that can catch them, right? And then they have a championship game, I'm sure, right? Maybe not, but
honestly, I don't see why Utah couldn't really create.
Utah could, yeah.
Who did Oregon lose to? You have that right there?
Oh, I do. They lost to Stanford.
How is that?
Like, bad loss.
How is that getting just?
Stanford's what, 3-6?
3-6. They lost 31-24.
Yeah, that's
in OT.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that has something to do with it, the way you lose.
I guess. I think the reason why Oregon's up there is because they beat OSU, and they want OSU up there, right? Is that the fair? Like, that's the only reason. They can't put OSU ahead of them, so they have to be, right? Is that what we're looking at here?
No, I think there's other factors. You know, Oregon lost without Kayvon Thibodeau. There's some injury factor there, too.
Okay. But they beat Ohio State without him.
Yeah, they beat Ohio State without him. Ohio State also was like, right after that game, trying to like throw McCord in as quarterback and doing all this stuff, and now they're really rolling. Weird. Yeah. So early on in the year, there was a lot of hit or miss, question mark type of things from the coaching staffs.
All right, let's get into some Michigan talk.
Why it is.
Yeah, that was a nice little bump there. Michigan bounced back with a 29-7 win against the now 2-7 Indiana Hoosiers. Who thought 2-7? Crazy. The defense
so much better than
held Indiana's depleted offense to 107 yards rushing and 88 passing yards for only 195 total yards, compared to Michigan's 188 rushing and 223 passing for 411 total yards. Cade was 10 of 18 for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns, both to tight end Schoonmaker. Corum, 1 carry. He obviously got injured. So Haskins gave his best Kenneth Walker impression, rushing the ball 27 times for 168 yards and a 6.2 average. For me, this game was kind of the opposite. I think we talked about this off air, but it was like I watched Michigan State and I thought it was embarrassing. I thought they looked unprepared. I thought they looked awful. I rewatched it. I was like, they actually played pretty well. I watched the Michigan game live and I was like, wow, man, they're just dominating this game. I rewatched it. I was like, man, they kind of got lucky that it was only Indiana, and it was Indiana's fourth string running back, and third string quarterback, and like all of that kind of stuff. Like, I think if Michigan showed up and played that way against anybody that we're going to face moving forward, they would have got caught with their pants down.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
All the way.
All the way down. You knew I was going to say that?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of my go-to lately.
Yeah, like 2 minutes ago, I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's not mean.
Yeah, no, I was just after rewatching it, I was a little more disappointed with Michigan's game, and I think a lot of it has to do with injuries. I think without Corum, it just changes the feel a little bit. The big pop plays aren't there as much, and then the Cade injury. We got to talk about that. Do you know what the injury is? Like, does anybody know what the injury is for Cade? There's been so many rumors about he's fighting something, but what the heck is he fighting?
I tried to get an inside tip and
can't figure it out.
Nope.
Right? I mean, 10 of 18. That's week 1. Those are week 2 numbers right there. That's not.
Yeah.
And look, I don't want to lose sleep over because we're running the ball. I mean, Haskins doing what he did with what 168 yards. So he didn't have to throw the ball, but there were still some crucial plays and field goals. We had a 34-yard field goal, 32-yard field goal, another 34-yard field goal. That's because we're not making plays through the air on crucial third
Correct.
downs inside the when the field gets tight and you need a quarterback that can make a throw.
So who do you blame that on? A quarterback, or do you blame it on the scheme, the offensive scheme and the offensive coordinator?
Okay. In my
it's a tough question.
It is a tough question.
It is literally impossible for us to know as fans, but it's fun to talk about, so I think we should bring it up.
I think that's a great question. For me, I am going to benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the scheme. And somebody should be schemed to get open at one point. I'm just assuming you can figure that out. But if your quarterback can't make that throw, that's the problem.
So
you can scheme all you want, but
I
if
haven't
your quarterback
seen it.
can't make the throw.
I haven't seen it.
Which part?
The last 2 years,
The scheme?
I have not seen the scheme work in the red zone. I just haven't seen it. It has become predictable. It becomes less imaginative and less open and less in space, I guess you could say, and just more like what early on that was working so well in the year. What were they doing? All they were doing was giving it to Haskins and Corum and letting them go. That is it. There hasn't been offensive ingenuity. Is that the right way? Yeah. So he hasn't designed anything to put his quarterbacks in. And look, I'm not a huge fan of the way Michigan has executed these plays. Sometimes I think there's a guy open in the end zone when they just check it down to a running back or over the middle to a tight end. So I'm not going to say that the execution has nothing to do with this, but you would think eventually this issue would be a non-issue for such a good team. And it hasn't been that way. We haven't seen them execute unless it's Corum or Haskins running it right up the gut and scoring a touchdown.
Making those big plays.
I want to see it. And the other times we've seen it, it's been JJ doing something
crazy, a
little bit absurd. Yeah. Which I personally think that he needs to get that kind of time. And, yeah, he might have had a bad game, but it happens.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about the quarterbacks. I brought up Cade's numbers at 10 of 18 for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. JJ, 5 of 10 for 55 yards. He had the interception. It was off the wide receiver's helmet. I'm not going to blame him on that, especially that specific one. But I also thought he threw the ball into really – I mean, you're playing against a good defense or just athletic players. They're making those plays. I thought there was a couple in there that I was like, man, he got away with that. What do you think of his game?
Indiana has some good defensive players.
Yeah.
They do. Their defense is not that bad. Their offense just doesn't help them out at all. I think he forced the game a little bit. He didn't let the game come to him, which we've seen work for him in the past. And if you get that kind of confidence, it can bite you. And that's the main reason we couldn't have him start the big games against Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State, because you cannot have a guy like this who's still learning what he can get away with and what he can't go in and lose a game for you. So I think this is all part of the learning curve for him. You saw it early on. I probably bounce around too much, but Ohio State's quarterback, he struggled early on with knowing what he could get away with, what he can't, and now he's a little bit more reserved, and you still see the big plays because of the talent on the field. That's something that he still has to jump into because he's had limited playing time up until this point. And he's also coming off a game that against Michigan State where he is probably blaming himself for the loss.
Yeah.
So his confidence is an all-time low. I want the ball in his hands more and more so he forgets about that more and more.
Yeah.
And let his talent shine through so he doesn't start feeling bad about himself.
Here's a question for you. Both healthy, if you got to decide, who would you start this coming week?
Look, I would have started JJ way earlier. I would have. Right here, right now, I think you've made your bed, and I think you got to sleep in it.
Yep.
That's the way I look at it. It has to be Cade. If you make this change now, injury aside, it is the worst decision a coach could make, in my opinion.
Correct.
I would, as excited as I would be, I'd be pumped. I'd be sitting I'd be pumped. You know me. I'd just be like, all right, what's going to happen? I'd be really excited. But I'd be very quick to question it. Not the move to start JJ, but the move of why did it take so long? Why are we seeing he just got his most action, right? 5 of 10 throwing. That was the most throws he's played in the game. That's the thing that bothers me. The fact that we didn't do it sooner and do we have the right guy in there?
It's not even knowing if he's the right guy. It's preparing him for the moment.
Correct. Yep.
And they haven't done that. They have not done that up until this point, so you cannot put him in a position to lose these critical games, and now you've got a mental head case on,
I think they made a mistake not putting him in towards not even the tail end, the last quarter versus Northwestern.
I think
JJ.
I think there's been many chances that they failed to give him an opportunity.
That was the biggest. That was the most glaring
Even
one.
when they brought him in, they haven't allowed him to do anything because they're winning big. It's easy to hand the ball off. That's what he's there to do.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no, go. Like, if you really want to find out what you have, who cares about the feelings on the other side? Who cares what people say about running up the score? Like, hey, I'm trying to figure out if my quarterback can run this offense. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And, like, that's the frustrating thing for me. It's like, even when he's come in the games early, Western Michigan, I think he was mid-third quarter, and ran the ball. Just handed the ball off. That was all he did. A couple throws, obviously. I think he was, 2 for 2 that game.
Yeah, and then Valari went in, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, you're not learning anything. And look, they learn a lot more in practice than they can do in a game. They really can.
That's not preparing that player, though. Yes.
They think they can.
Yeah.
I think I should have said that.
Yep.
Because for me, you don't know when a gamer's a gamer. And I think that goes in just about every single sport. I could look terrible in a batting cage and then go drill a home run like I did opening day in softball. No big deal.
No big deal. Still not thinking about it.
But you know what I mean? Until you're in the moment of a game,
drill a
it
home run.
it completely.
Classic.
There we go. Let's get back on the rail here.
You drilled a home run in
I
softball.
smoked. I was around second before I knew it was out.
Every home run I've ever hit.
Anyways,
only the doubles I pimp.
You need to put these guys in games and see how they perform on the field. That's where I'm at. Because Tom Brady, they didn't know what they had with him until they absolutely had to use him. When
he comes back and beats Alabama.
When the guy gets hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Or I said Tom Brady, not Trevor Lawrence.
Well, Tom Brady came back and beat Alabama. Sorry.
Oh.
Tom Brady, Trevor Lawrence, Tua.
I don't know, yeah. Anyways, I'm just saying they didn't know that they had the greatest quarterback of all time until what's-his-face got hurt. And they had to put Tom Brady in the game and win the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff happened. So, put him in a game. Anyways, what are we at? I don't know.
I think that's the end of the Michigan talk.
Is JJ going to go win a Super Bowl? I'm confused. Lions?
For the Lions? No, he's going to be the Packers' first-round pick.
Right after Jordan Love is really good.
Yeah. Another big concern for me was only 19 first downs. I know that sounds like a decently high number, but they were 3 of 12 on third down. Again, this team living on third down, not picking it up.
Hate it.
It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to the short field lack of.
It really is.
I don't know, lack of creativity. He doesn't get anybody. He doesn't make the game easy for them. He makes them execute to perfection. I'm talking about Josh Gaddis.
Yeah.
He makes them execute to perfection
to
move the ball all down the field, and that's not fair to the players. It really isn't, and I'm getting sick of it. Open up the playbook.
They're going to be put to another test this weekend.
Yeah, so let's jump into that. Corum injury, I think, is a major concern. Sounds like he was in a walking boot. I doubt he plays this week. That would be
too bad.
Big miracle if he can. And that's concerning for me because, look, Haskins obviously had a good game. He looked really good this week. But I think we've seen time and time again, consistent Haskins can slow the offense down. I think Corum is very important to have for the change of pace and change things up. Third down, throw him in there. He can catch the ball a little bit better. I don't want to say Haskins can't. I'm just saying he's that guy. He's the specialist that can do that.
Correct.
Unless he's dropping the ball against Michigan State. I think we've seen
Haskins
more drives stall if the offensive line can't get the push and Haskins can he can get caught behind the line more often, I think, than Corum, if that's fair.
Yeah.
So that's concerning to me. Can he be?
Again, it comes down to, are they predictable?
Will the offense adjust if Haskins isn't working? Can the offense adjust if Haskins isn't working? Will they respect our passing game? That is all a big concern when you don't have Corum to be that outside look instead of inside the tackles only. Like that's where this could be concerning against Penn State.
That's what I come down to is who is standing behind or on the sideline from Haskins?
Donovan Edwards, right? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know because he didn't dress last week.
He didn't dress.
He was hurt. So that leaves Tavier Dunlap true freshman.
I don't trust that. Should I?
That's what I'm getting at. I don't know. Like, who? It's a big question mark behind Haskins. Is Corum going to be out there with a freaking, like, taped to the high heavens ankle? Is Donovan Edwards going to dress? Who knows? I don't know.
Wait, is Donovan Edwards hurt?
He was hurt last week. That's why he didn't play.
Allegedly, right?
Man, so, okay, yeah.
Allegedly.
Well, that's a big part of their offense, and then at that point you have to get creative with your offense. And really, if we're talking about the offense becoming one-dimensional, then I would trust JJ in this kind of a scenario to be creative. Well, he can run and he can survey the field. Yeah, he can extend plays. He can create something when nothing is there and let their wide receivers get space when they were covered earlier on. Like,
it's weird because I feel like we should know what this team is going to be, obviously heading into the last 3 weeks of the season. But with these injuries, with these question marks, it's like I feel like we could be looking at a completely different offense here in the next couple of weeks if Corum and Cade's injuries are as bad as what could be. So how do you guys feel heading into this game? Sorry,
hold on.
What were you gonna ask?
One question. Do you think JJ's interception prone?
No, I think he takes massive chances. I think it would be silly to say that he's interception prone because he hasn't.
Correct.
But man,
don't take the ratio of chances to interception proneness. I'm just saying, like eye test, because Cade's done so well with the ball.
I think the combination of our lack of big play wide receiver bodies that go up and make plays, go and get the ball when it's up there, that scares me with a guy like JJ throwing the ball. Where a guy like Cade, I think, is going to be a little more careful and make sure that only one guy can get his hands on a ball. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you think about all the times if you're the quarterback for the entire game and now they're relying on you, there are a lot of opportunities for you to make a mistake with a big play. And Cade will most often go with the safe option. And JJ believes himself. So he is more of a wild card where he's going to throw the ball down the field in the tight window where it could bounce off somebody's helmet and go into, and I'm not blaming that on him.
Right.
But in that scenario, like, you just don't know. And in his whole life, he has succeeded. He's been the best out of, everybody. He wins national title with IMG. He also, threw the ball down the field and made insane plays over and over and over again with that team, and he never got punished for it. So in this scenario right now, he might try to do too much. He might think over the course of a game that he can make that play 7 times when he should have only tried 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. Not that you shouldn't go to try to get the big play, but you just need to know when it's appropriate.
We do got to put a quick bow on Michigan talk, so we got some basketball to talk about. Man. I mean, my biggest concern are the injuries here. I'm not going to make it an excuse because the way Penn State's down, we should be able to make something happen. We should be able to win this game.
Correct.
Our defense is really good. Our defense is obviously the thing that we can hang our hat on heading into Happy Valley.
100%.
But another concern is what Michigan State did to us, Penn State can do. Every time we've played, the 3 best teams we played, talent-wise, recruit-wise, 5-star-wise, like cute little numbers-wise, we've been exposed in a way. You know what I mean? And it hasn't been as easy and as fun as it has been against the bad teams. And I think right here's a good chance for Michigan to be like, to show that, like if they're going to go out to win this game, I'm not going to be, told you, this is how good this team is. But if they go out and lose it, I can't be like, if somebody's like, they're overrated, I'll be like, I can't disagree. You know what I mean? And that's uncomfortable because everything's in front of them. They win out, I believe that they're in, whether Michigan State wins out or not. I think if Michigan wins out, they are in the playoff.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And that's, this is as awesome it is I'm ready to get hurt again. I'm Michael Scott. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm ready to get hurt, and it's and I don't know. We'll see. That's what's fun about college football. This time last year, we didn't have these conversations because it didn't matter, and I would much rather have a chance to get hurt rather than not. Like what is the saying? I'd rather him loved than lost than not loved at all, or something like that. Isn't that what the?
That's pretty good. I've never heard that one. I
Is
like that.
Is that right,
well
Ryan?
Done.
I would rather have loved and lost than not
never loved
loved at all. What is that from? That's from something famous, right?
Probably some movie.
But
I've
that's
cried
here we
in.
are with Michigan and Michigan State. We got love. We found love,
yeah.
and right here we're ready to get hurt. And
Well, I can tell you, I don't want to go through
last.
last year again, ever again.
No, sure,
Re.
Bob.
If it's craft beer in Michigan sports, we may not be the authority, but we love both like a fat kid loves cake. This is State of My Sports.
Might have already done that one, but before we get into the main topics of episode 130, I want to remind everyone that the DeHop's Brewing Company and Cafe is open and pouring some of the best craft beer in West Michigan. Their revamped food menu, rotating taps, wine, and ciders make DeHop's perfect for what you have going on. From dinner with the family, late night drinks with friends, and everything in between, DeHop's is becoming a staple in the West Michigan restaurant community that we highly recommend to our friends and listeners. DeHop's is the official brewery of State of My Sports in 2021. And if you mention State of My Sports, you'll get a nice little discount off your first beer. So here we are, college basketball season. I'm going to call it college football for a long time, I'm sure. But we're going to start with MSU and try to move through it as quick as we can. Ryan, I'm going to kind of count on you to kind of tell us what you want here. But
Well, I wish they would have been playing Kentucky or Duke right now because, my goodness, they can't score to save their life.
All right, so MSU entered last season ranked 13th in the country and reached number 4 in the country for week 3 and 4 before falling quickly. The combination of the injury bug and just the strange season of the COVID caused issues for many of the Blue Bloods, which included Michigan State. They finished 15 and 13 overall, 9th in the Big Ten, going 9 and 11 in conference. They made the tournament as an 11 seed play-in game and lost to UCLA, who ended up making it all the way to the Final Four. I kind of want to start with some additions and subtractions here. Rocket Watts transferred to Mississippi State. Foster Lawyer transferred to Davidson. Thomas Kithier, Valparaiso, and Jack Hoiberg to USTA. Michigan State also lost senior guard Josh Langford, who had an opportunity to come back but decided not to. Decided not to play another season. I don't know if he's in the NBA or not. But a couple additions that are worth bringing up was true freshman.
Another subtraction would be the best player that got drafted last year. Lefty.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive.
Bald.
Second rounder. Anyways, go on. We can go on to the additions because that's important. No, that was 2 years ago.
He was probably a long time. Anyways, some additions that they are worth talking about. True freshman Max Christie will be the starting shooting guard for Michigan State, who is highly touted 5-star recruit. And from the transfer portal, they got point guard from Northeastern Tyson Walker, along with Jaden Akins, who I believe is a freshman. Is that right?
Yeah, Jaden Akins is a freshman, 6'5", athletic, lefty shooter, can do a lot with the ball, and he showed it tonight, really.
Cider just scored. Some quick odds here. So odds were to win the Big Ten is plus 900, to win the national championship plus 3,000, and their over-under is at 22.5 wins, currently unranked and lost to Kansas today, right?
Correct. 87-74.
Some projected starters. This was a projected. I didn't see what happened, who exactly started, but Joey Hauser, Marcus Bingham, Tyson Walker, who's the transfer, Gabe Brown, and Max Christie. Just some quick thoughts, then Ryan, I'll kind of hand it over to you and kind of see what your thoughts are heading into the season with them. I just think it's going to be a really interesting year. And I feel like this is very strange for Tom Izzo because usually he's got some big names coming in, and I know that they have a big one. But usually it's a couple, I think. And one thing that I'm seeing about seeing Izzo do is it doesn't seem like he's enjoying himself nearly as much anymore. And I think that he's coming very close to just being done. And I think the combination of the way that we've seen him, and it might just been the COVID season kind of being difficult on everybody, and a guy like Izzo would probably kind of feel that more than anyone. But also you got the new AD in there. I'm curious if it doesn't go well, if this will be one of those mutually part ways and retire for Izzo. And I heard him on, I think it was Jim Rome, I think he was on one time, and he was like, yeah, I'm not going to have my farewell tour like Coach K and stuff like that. I was like, when I'm done, I'm going to be done. I'm just going to not show up the next day. And I think that was eye-opening because he's already thinking about it. And most coaches don't talk like that. And for me, like seeing the way that he's acted the last year and a half to 2 years, and if it doesn't go well, I could see a change here. I don't know if that's fair, but that's where I'm going to be really looking into this season and be like, all right, what is Izzo feeling? What is he saying? And what does it mean for the program moving forward? I don't know if you have any other thoughts heading into the season, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be that kind of a year for Izzo. I think you're right. He's getting to the point where he's thinking, at least considering, like when is the right time to call it quits, and he can't be doing this forever. And you want to leave when you're still at the top of your game. Mm-hmm. I think let's get back to the team real quick with the basketball too. There's a lot of unknowns, and last year, they got to the Elite Eight after disappointing throughout the regular season and getting an 11 seed and having to really like play their way into the tournament, which was
talking about
surprising.
This past season?
Yeah, this past season.
No, they lost the play-in game.
Michigan State?
Yeah. It was 11 seed versus
Correct.
11 seed to play into the tournament. They lost to UCLA.
Oh, UCLA. I'm
Sorry, you're getting Michigan State.
Yeah,
confused.
I am. Yeah, in the Elite Eight, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
But really, they could have won that game.
Yeah,
at the
it was.
time.
I think it was overtime, maybe double overtime. I don't remember exactly, but I think
All right.
it was, yeah.
No, you're right. And so Rocket Watts, we said it at the beginning of last year. He was probably the win or lose. He was the reason they were going to win or the reason they were going to lose. And he didn't take good enough care of the basketball. So what did they do? They went and got Tyson Walker, which is a transfer that's coming in who has I think he averaged over 18 points a game, 6 assists. Like he had the ball in his hands all the time. He's a decision maker. He's a pretty smooth athlete and should be somebody that they can trust moving forward. To also replace him or as a backup, Rock Watts I'm talking, it's the point guard position. Then you also have AJ Hogard, which was last year's freshman. Not the best, I would say point guard body, but looking at him this year, he's gotten a lot stronger. He's gotten a lot more confident. And tonight against Kansas, he had a big part of why they were in the game in the first half and was one of their main playmakers in this game. So I expect a lot from AJ Hogard moving forward. So I really think their point guard position this year is a lot more solidified compared to last year. And as the season goes on, you're gonna find their roles. You're gonna find in late game situations who they're gonna rely on to handle the ball and make that decision, and who's gonna go sit in the corner and shoot the three, or who's gonna be on the bench. You're gonna find out, who Izzo's gonna trust in those kind of situations. But Max Christie, freshman, 5-star guy, big-time recruit, he looked every bit of that tonight, and I'm very impressed with him. I think as the season goes on, you're going to see him take more and more of a lead scoring role in this offense, which is big because they have a lot of really good role players on the team, but they need somebody to take control of the ball and make these big-time decisions. And so, you're not just making Marcus Bingham and Malik Hall make all the decisions, and even Gabe Brown, because I think the next forward slots that we've already talked about are I don't even know how to differentiate them, but let's just get into it. Joey Hauser, Julius Marble, both power forwards, can pass the ball, can be physical. Joey Hauser's more of a touch guy with the three-point shooting, decision making, but then Malik Hall and Gabe Brown, those are all power forwards / small forwards, and it can either be the strength of this team moving forward, or it can be their downfall if they don't handle the ball and make good decisions. So that is the key to watch with this team. Again, I'm going to go through it. Gabe Brown, Malik Hall, Julius Marble, and Joey Hauser. It's a mix of big bodies that they're going to have the ball in their hands a lot this year, and they're going to rely on them to play center sometimes when Marcus Bingham is out. So
yeah, so let's get into some players and some categories that we always like to do for the preview. You brought up Max Christie. I was going to put him as my breakout player here. I just think he's going to be a key. We saw him in the exhibition. He scored 17 points in 19 minutes against Ferris State. You said he had a really good game today as well. So it sounds like Izzo's going to trust him, which is way different than what young guys come in and do right away, right? This is going to be a different type of team for Izzo because he's going to have to trust a young guy, and he can't put him through the ringer and like Izzo kind of likes to do early on. He's going to have to throw this guy to the wolves, and he's going to have to be a key piece early on. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself busting your butt just to kind of get in contention for the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we've
right?
seen it though. We've seen Jaron Jackson play early on
That's
as a
true.
freshman. We've seen.
But Christie's not to that level, is he?
Well, I think he's more of like a Gary Harris type,
Okay.
where they're going to trust him. They're going to give him the ball. They're going to expect him to score. And as the season goes on, Gary Harris proved to be that kind of a guy. And I think Christie is hopefully up for the challenge. I think he is. But trusting freshmen is not something that Izzo is against. He has proven to be that guy in the past. What he will not do is trust his whole team to a group of freshmen. He does not do that. And that's not the situation here. Tyson Walker, again, a transfer. Gabe Brown, Malik Hall, Marcus Bingham Jr. These are veteran players for this.
As well.
Joey Hauser. Yeah, I mean, even with Julius Marble and Sissoko, like these are veteran players that they're surrounding these few key freshmen and second-year guys around, and I think it's a decent mix of players. I think they're better than people will give credit for at this point.
Yeah. Would you say Christie's going to be kind of your breakout player, or do you kind of go a different way?
I'm thinking either Gabe Brown or Marcus Bingham Jr., and I can't really decide. Gabe Brown is the freakiest of freak athletes on the team. He is really, really good. I think he can shoot it. He shot over 40% of threes last year, but he only averaged like 7 points. So it showed like the limited playing time that he had. But when he pulls the trigger, he is so effective and he's difficult to guard. So lefty, also just really hard to guard as a small forward, big body. But then Marcus Bingham Jr., he is the 7-footer. I think he grew an inch or two. He's the 7-footer that I personally, he's from Grand Rapids actually.
Okay.
I personally think he's way more skilled than people give him credit for. I think he can shoot the ball. He doesn't have that role or confidence within the offense at this point. But if he ever has or develops that confidence, he could be an absolute difference maker for this team and put them to the next level.
Don't forget about player. I went with Joey Hauser. I think with all the new guys, we can kind of look past the Joey Hauser. He was the transfer from Marquette last year. Never really got comfortable. I think the COVID season kind of played a role with that.
Got comfortable early, but not middle and late. It was weird.
It was very strange. And I think you can't forget about him because I think he was brought in for a reason, and I don't think he lived up to that reason last year. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how he kind of develops. And he's going to be important to this team. So I don't know. That's where I kind of went.
I could cheat and go A.J. Hogard here because of how he played today, but my real answer is Julius Marble. This is another one with all the power forwards on this team. It could get lost. He is a big, strong dude. He's athletic, and I think he's underrated. And he's not even starting. Malik Hall was starting. So Julius Marble, I think, is going to play a key role for this team, and the more he gets playing time, I think he's going to develop that confidence because he believes in himself, and you can see it on the court. His confidence is sky high.
Yeah, rebound player is a tough one because sometimes you just don't have that guy that really fits the criteria. I think that fits more for NFL and NBA.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not NBA, MLB. But for me, like my rebound player was Gabe Brown. I don't think he necessarily had a bad year last year, but he hasn't lived up to the expectations of what they recruited him for. He was a 4-star in 2018, 101 nationally. Nothing crazy, but like he hasn't done what he was brought in to do.
Well, we all see his talent.
Yeah,
and we want more.
Exactly, and I think with the playing time and maybe a little extra confidence and trust that hopefully Izzo puts in him. Allows him to kind of pull the trigger a little bit more because when he does, he looks good. He can look very, very good. And just as importantly, I don't think he had those times that he's looked bad where he's just, ruined the flow because I feel like he's more passive in that way. Where here it's like it just needs more opportunities, needs more confidence, needs more what's the right word? Permission. Like he needs permission to go out and be aggressive. And I don't think he's been given that. So that's kind of why I went with my rebound player. I don't know if one stands out to you or not.
Yeah, Joey Hauser. I think he underimpressed.
That's a good fit
from last year, and I expected a lot, and he looked so good early on. We were just raving about this Michigan State team early last year, and then they just fell off the map, and it just didn't turn out for them well. And it was, in my mind, it was a direct result of the point guard play and the lack of production from Joey Hauser.
Yeah, and for under the radar, I went with Tyson Walker. He was the transfer out of the Northeastern. Last season, he scored 18.8 points per game, had 4.8 assists in 34.8 minutes per game. I think he's underrated outside shooter from what I read up on him, and has proven to have the ability to get his own shot. I'm curious to how he will fit and if he will be given the reins to kind of create his own shot. But I think he's kind of coming in under the radar a tad. When you have, Christie
for sure,
kind of coming in to be the freshman that everybody's excited about. But yeah, that's kind of where I went there.
I could go with actually two of the other freshmen, Jaden Akins and AJ Hogard, who's actually a second-year guy. But instead I'll go with a different freshman, Pierre Brooks. He was Mr. Basketball this last year in the state of Michigan. And he's a small forward, big guy, and I think he might find a role, a niche in this team where he becomes like the Draymond Green, really big body, but good decision maker, ball in his hands, vocal leader, kind of doesn't really have any of the major tools that you would think would be effective for a basketball player.
Yeah,
but is very effective because of how much he wants it. And he has been that way all through high school. He won a state championship, and I think his competitive level will bring him into the rotation, and I think he'll make a difference.
So wrap us up with who you think will be the most valuable player for this team, and set some expectations of what you think this team will be when all said and done.
I'm going to go with an underrated pick. This isn't who I think is going to be the best player, and maybe that's my own fault.
So I get rid of dark horse MVP.
Yeah.
I finally get rid of the word dark horse. Now you're gonna follow the criteria?
Correct. Yeah. No, I'm going to go dark horse.
You're going to go dark
horse MVP, AJ Hogard, backup point guard. And I know how dumb that sounds, but you can never have too many good players and good players controlling the ball and making decisions. And if he can be that guy, like I saw in the first half against Kansas today, he's gonna be a big difference maker for this team. And I don't know if he has the finishing ability, but he doesn't need to finish. He can just make the right decision.
All right. And then what are your expectations?
I'm expecting a team that is between, I would say, like probably right around like 15 in the nation, just ranked 15th by the end of the year. And they're going to lose some games you think they should win in the Big Ten, but they're not going to be an easy out for any team. I think you're going to have to earn it against them.
Which is a sign of good coaching.
Yeah, well, and again, like if you look at their players, Marcus Bingham, 7 foot, and then they've got a couple point guards. Everybody in between is 6'6" to 6'9", and they're all big bodies, like can rebound and make decisions. Some can shoot, some can pound on low. Like you just don't know. Like they're going to be a tough out for everybody. They're going to absolutely dominate some teams based on their size, and then other teams you're going to be like, why do they have so many middle guys? They should be, they're shorter than on this team. So it just depends on the matchups. It'll play a big role in this team.
That makes sense. All right. So let's jump over to our Michigan basketball here. Last year, they exceeded preseason expectations that projected them to finish in the middle of the Big Ten, but ended up winning the regular season, earning the number 1 seed in the tournament, or a number 1 seed in the tournament, I should say, before losing to UCLA in the Elite Eight. They finished 23-5 overall, 14-3 in the conference play. Heading into this season, they're ranked number 6 in the country, and has them at over under 27 wins with plus 330 odds, which is tied with Purdue to win the Big Ten, and plus 1,400 to win the national championship, which I think was top 5. Some subtractions that they have from last year was Isaiah Livers, Franz Wagner to the NBA. Mike Smith and Chauncey Brown also are gone. Some additions: McDonald's All-American in big man Musa Diabate, is that right?
Diabate.
Forward Caleb Houston, and guard Kobe Buffkin. Point guard Devontae Jones, a grad transfer who started the past 3 seasons at Coastal Carolina, will step in the role vacated by Smith. The projected starting lineups: Devontae Jones, Eli Brooks, Caleb Houston, Brandon Johns Jr., and Hunter Dickinson. Just a quick little preview of heading into the season. My thoughts were, I was against the Juwan Howard hire. I thought it was gimmicky. I thought it was cute. I thought it was just, I didn't think it was going to work, and I am dead wrong. He's proven the last 2 years that he can take what's given to him and coach. And he's, taking beeline guys, mediocre, not any high-end talent, 5 stars, anything like that. And he's turned them into very good basketball players. Now here, we're looking at a completely different type of basketball now. And that's going to be the key for me, is seeing how Juwan Howard can coach egos, can coach guys that have the 5 stars next to their name that came here for the ball, came here to be the guy. You have multiples. And you also have the mix of the veterans that are used to the old way, and now we're going to bring in this new way. I'm very interested to see how that can mix together and how Juwan Howard can kind of, run this type of team. It's a different type of team. They might play the same type of basketball, but when you're bringing in this type of talent, that number 2, I think, overall recruiting class is what I thought I found.
They were number 1. They were number 1 for the entire year. Did they get leapfrog, Micah? I think they were number 1.
From what I read last night, I think they finished number 2. But there's also different recruiting, so who knows which one I was looking at.
Yep, 24/7 versus ESPN. They all do it differently.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think this is a whole new ball game, and he was the first to admit it. In a preseason press conference, he talked about how, hey, this is new to me. I don't know. We'll see. And he's kind of kept that mantra. He did that the last couple of years, too.
Yeah, he's just being smart with that.
Yeah, so, what are your thoughts heading into the season? Either one of you, if you guys have any, high expectations, right?
Very high.
I think your question earlier when you were laying this out is, how do you manage this kind of, how do you coach this type of team with the new talent coming in, with this high of a recruiting class and everything? I think the way you do that is you have the veteran leadership that they have right now. Eli Brooks is somebody that, a freshman coming in, is Eli Brooks going to be like a all-star level talent in the NBA? No, probably not, but he will definitely earn your respect based on the way he plays and the way, how long he's been there and the respect he's earned over the years. So you're not going to just go in and take the ball away from him or don't think that he's going to shoot the ball. And then having an All-American in Hunter Dickinson down low, you're not going to come in as a Diabate and just say, I deserve to be the starting center here. No, you got to earn it. And that's the beauty of having this type of talent and recruiting classes on top of each other, is if you're getting the right personalities, they're going to, they're not going to be jealous of this. They're just going to work that much harder to achieve what the guy next to him is achieving.
Yeah, I really hope so. I think working with guys like Dickinson and Eli Brooks, I think you already brought both those names up. But it's if those guys can bring in the old way and the younger guys can come in and be yeah, this is your team. I'm here to follow and show us the ropes. It will be a very smooth transition. But if, let's say, Eli Brooks isn't living up to expectations and isn't producing, that can change, freshman's view on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
100%.
And that could be
in that case.
Then and same thing with Hunter Dickinson. I'm not saying he's not going to produce, but I think he's here for different reasons, and it'll be interesting. I'll get into that here in a bit, but I don't know. Go ahead.
So I expect this team to be this is a good mix right now, because Brandon Johns Jr. too might be the most underrated player, so I'm going to bring his name up probably a little bit later, but he is one of the most underrated talents on this team. And the fact that he's going to be starting with the height and size that he has and the basketball ability to shoot the ball from the outside, score down low, rebound, make good pass decisions, he has earned the playing time that he's going to get this year. And that just means, again, that the second group, these young players, are going to have to step up. And maybe they're not one-and-dones. That's fine. These guys don't look like one-and-dones to me.
Okay.
So even though they got the number 1 or 2 recruited class in the country, these aren't guys that are just going to turn around and leave after 1 year and be the number 1, number 2 overall draft pick,
I think that's
next year.
Kind of gone. I feel like
no, it's not gone.
No.
We
just haven't got that much talent in them coming out right now.
Yeah, you look at last year: Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least were all one and dones.
Were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first one or non-one and done guy is probably like Franz Wagner, who is a 2 and done.
All right.
So no, that's not gone. But I'm just saying, like, these guys, I don't think they're the ones that are just going to be leaving for the lottery because they're not committed to the school. Like, these are guys that might stick around for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe not Caleb Houston. Maybe, but we'll see. Like if he has an off shooting year, then he'll probably come back. If he has a great shooting year, he'll probably leave and be a top 10, 15 pick.
Yeah, so I had him slotted as my breakout player. Number 10 recruit in the country, 5-star out of Florida, 24/7 sports. So obviously when I don't watch college or high school basketball. I'm going to admit that right now.
Come on, man.
So I'm going to tell you what 24/7 sports says. Houston is long and lean shooter who is an excellent low maintenance prospect. What does that mean? Low maintenance. Like you don't have to change a shot? Is that what that means?
No, he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be great.
That's what I was hoping when I read that, but
he's
I didn't
a team
know if
player.
It was, okay.
He's a team player who can sit on the outside, and then when the big guy gets doubled and he kicks it out to the corner, he's going to get a lot of points that way.
Okay. They said he's a perfect stretch 4 with his size and skill level. What sets him apart from his peers is his feathery catch and shoot jump shot that he knocks down at an efficient rate. So, okay, I'm not the brightest basketball guy. I don't know if you guys know that about me or not.
Really?
When I hear featherly catch and shoot jump shot, my brain went right to like Kevin Durant. Is that? I'm not saying that's what he plays like or anything like that, but that's what went to my head. Is that fair? Is that what that means?
It's a little bit different, but I would say it's a decent comparison. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a sharpshooter for sure. He's probably the best freshman sharpshooter before any games are played that people would be expecting.
Okay.
He does not need the ball in his hands, meaning that he's not going to just dribble and create his own shot like Kyrie Irving and make something happen out of nothing.
Yeah.
But he plays within the system. As he gets the ball, it is just like the most effortless shot you can imagine. Kevin Durant probably is a pretty good comparison there, even though the form isn't exactly the same. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna be 3 feet behind the 3-point line. You're gonna be like, oh man, that didn't look like he shot the ball at all. It looked like he was shooting a free throw.
Gotcha. All right.
And he's smooth and he's confident. He can shoot the ball and he will shoot the ball and he'll score a lot of points.
Do you have a different breakout player? Or is that the easy pick here?
No, I mean that's a great pick. I think Caleb Houston's also an obvious pick. Let me go back to some of these. Tyson Walker would be. Oh, did I just go back to Michigan State?
Yeah, I think you did.
Sorry. Who's the
Diabate?
freshman? No, who's the freshman? Devontae Jones. Devontae Jones is their transfer coming in as a point guard.
Yeah.
I think Devontae Jones is my breakout. I think he's going to be the Mike Smith from last year.
Yeah.
And he could end up being – I think he's going to handle the ball a little bit more than Smith did, but he's that important to the offense. He's going to be that important to this team and probably the minutes played by the end of the year.
You think he's more talented than Mike Smith, don't you?
I think coming in he's more proven, right?
I think he's probably more talented and more proven, but he might he fits a different role. It
might not be as seamless as it was with Mike Smith.
He probably won't put up the number. Like, if you guys remember, Mike Smith was playing like 36 to 40 minutes a game. Sometimes he wouldn't even come out of the game.
Yeah.
Like, it was insane. I don't think he's that kind of a guy. I think they're going to give minutes to other players, but he'll be over 30 minutes a game.
So, in 2021, Sun Belt Player of the Year, he has 1,381 career points and 341 assists in 81 games. He's a 23-year-old versatile finisher and shot 37% on threes. I mean, yeah. I mean, they have him coming in as basically the Mike Smith of this team. He needs to be. I had him slotted in my under-the-radar player. I'm going to just say that now so we can skip it later. That's why I wanted to get that information out there. But going back to – so that was your breakout player there.
Yeah, that's my breakout.
Don't forget about. I went with Diabate. I think he's an easy guy to kind of forget about, mainly because he's not the number one recruit coming in, and he's also he's a bigger guy, right? Like he's kind of. I don't want to say. I know he's not a center, so it's not like Hunter Dickinson's in his way, but he kind of is. It's like when Hunter Dickinson's gone, you can move into the centerless type team.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that kind of fits that center role. So he's kind of in the way, even though it's a different position. Is that fair? So that's kind of where I'm just like.
Well, and I think their first game against, who did they play? Wayne State. It was an exhibition game.
Right.
I think Diabate actually shot a free throw and banked one and made it. So he might not have the touch that Dickinson has.
Okay.
But you're right. He could go out and guard a point guard and switch onto a point guard and play legitimate defense against him, where Dickinson would just be, his foot speed isn't there to match a point guard.
Yeah, they say he's energetic, athletic, and physically intimidating. I thought those were the keywords that stood out to me
fast,
that I read about this guy, is that he's a good defender as well, and he's just ready to ball is what it sounds like, and he's going to fight
100%
to win the game, and that's great to have. I mean, it's kind of what the Pistons are going to try to be, right? Is just always be more aggressive and fight for every inch. He kind of fits that mold. I think he'll be interesting to see if Hunter Dickinson kind of slows things down a little bit, but I don't know.
Hunter Dickinson is still sizably bigger physically than Diabate too.
Yeah.
Wild.
He's a big dude.
He's big. He doesn't jump high, but he's just high. He stands high.
Who's your don't forget about player, Ryan?
My don't forget about is Brandon Johns Jr.
Yeah.
I've seen the skill since he was a freshman. I would see him and be like, why is he not getting the playing time? And then he'd make a dumb mistake on defense, be like, oh, okay, well, that's probably the reason why he's not getting the playing time. And he's done that for a few years. Last year, he was solid. He was rock solid. This year, he's going to have the role of opportunity. He's the experienced one out there. They're going to allow him to play, and they trust him. And that trust is going to go a long ways this year with Brandon Johns Jr., and I think his skill will show through in the end. He could end up being the MVP of this team at the end of the year.
Do you think is he the Livers replacement? I mean, I'm all about, like, I watched the game, so all right, who's going to fill that role? Who's going to fill that role? Is that his type of game? It's way different, right?
To me, he's the Franz Wagner replacement.
Okay.
And I know that he was on the team last year with Wagner, but to me, he's an athletic, big guy who will shoot the ball, score the ball, be the lightning bolt when they need it, but just be reliable overall.
Okay.
So I would think Isaiah Livers would handle the ball a little bit more than Brandon Johns will.
Okay.
And he was like the point guard from the point forward type, and that's not his role in this, but he's going to be reliable and he's going to be defending guys and he's going to score some points.
Mike, and feel free to jump in if you have names that you want to bring up for any of these categories.
Yep.
I'm going to move down to rebound player. I went with Eli Brooks. Not the fact that he had a bad year. I just think they're going to rely on him a lot more. Like, I mean, you already brought it up. I don't want to get too much into it, but that's kind of where I went. Rebound player for you guys. Anybody?
No. This is a hard one because I don't know if anybody's. I mean, Brandon Johns might be the rebound because of that, but it's not that anybody played bad last year. This team was rock solid. So Eli Brooks, I think, is a good choice.
All right, I already told you my under the radar player was Devontae Jones. For all the reasons we said earlier, do you have somebody else that kind of stood out to you there, or do you want to move down to MVP?
Don't forget about how good Hunter Dickinson is. Because it was not a fluke last year. So anybody that will look at his lack of athleticism and say, well, he's probably not that good, it might be a fluke, don't buy into it.
Yeah.
He is extremely, extremely skilled at getting position where he is. You're going to see him score the easiest 20 points in a game, and you're going to be like, well, yeah, anybody could have scored that. Yeah, but he made all of those guys who were driving and just dumped a bounce pass off to him, he made their job so easy by clearing his guy out, just playing basketball ahead, like playing 3D chess kind of, like moving his guy in a position, throwing his foot around him, not blocking, not allowing him to go through, and then dumping it down for an easy dunk or layup.
Yeah, so I actually had him as my MVP. It was more or less like, I hope he is, because I think he needs to be, because I think he came back for obviously reasons to win, and he wants all of that, and that's the fun thing. He wants to go to Michigan. That's awesome. But I think he came back to develop more than what he did last year. If it was all about being a center, and what we saw last year was he was ready for the NBA from what we saw. But he wasn't drafted high enough because that's not what the NBA it takes value in. And right now, like that's where I'm looking at Hunter Dickinson and kind of this team here as a whole is like if it doesn't work out, if he doesn't develop the outside shot, if he doesn't develop more than what we already saw last year that he does great and he's trying to do too much, trying to force more than he should be, longer than he should be, like that is very concerning to me. And that's where I'm like I hope he's the MVP because I think he needs to be the MVP, if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Does it?
It makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
I'll buy it. We're at MVP?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are you selling?
Caleb Houston.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He has a unique ability that not many players have. He could end up being one of the top prospects in next year's draft, or he could be a role player who drafted in the second round like Isaiah Livers.
Yeah.
And not to say Isaiah Livers wasn't there, but he might be forgotten in the end, or he could come out and just shoot the lights out, gain some crazy amount of confidence, and be like, hey, turns out I am 6'7", 6'8", super athletic, but also a silky smooth runner and shooter and all this other stuff and be dominant like a Kevin Durant. Like he honestly could do that. He's played in the past in his AAU game. He used to play with Scotty Barnes, who was drafted 4th overall last year. Cade Cunningham, drafted 1st overall last year. The second pick for the Golden State Warriors last year, Moses Moody, who was like the 10th or 11th pick overall last year. Like these are the guys that he's always played second fiddle to because he was younger than them, but he was the young guy playing with all of those guys. So his talent level matched theirs, but he didn't have the role because he was younger. So just watch out for him. If he gets his confidence, he could end up being a star of college basketball this year.
Yeah, that would be awesome. It'd be nice to have a star. It really would. So overall expectations, I'm going in a little cautiously optimistic. Like I think they should be a number 1 seed. I think they should win the Big Ten. I know it's going to be tough going down with them and Purdue, but I also think that there's going to be things are going to have to come into place. And I'm a little concerned, like I talked about with Hunter Dickinson, and like the way that I feel like they're going to be transitioning a lot of things here, and it's not going to be a plug and replace type thing. It's going to have to be a new type of basketball than what they've done the last couple of years, or last several years, I should say. So that's a little concerning how quickly they learn it and if it works. But Ryan, overall, what do you think we should expect here as Michigan fans about this basketball team?
So they're ranked number 6 right now in the nation. I would say that's about my expectations. I think they should battle. If they earn a number 1 overall seed or a number 1 seed in the tournament come March, then I feel like that was an extremely successful season. I expect them to battle for that number 1, 2, 3 seed guaranteed. And they're one of the top 2 best teams in the Big Ten. Yeah, the only other team, like I think Purdue is a really, really complete, really good team in the Big Ten, and I think it's between them and Michigan to see who's the best team. I hope they don't. I don't know. They might have a lower downside compared to last year because I think Isaiah Livers was very underrated on the team. We saw that in the tournament. So I think Isaiah Livers as a whole would keep them up to a certain level last year and not let them fall down, but I think their overall group of talent is probably more this year, so they have a higher upside.
For sure. That makes sense. We got our picks, baby.
For sure.
For sure? Yes. Cool.
Okay.
BettingHero.com. Promo code MIBETS. If you're interested in the sports betting world, check it out. They'll give you the best promotions available. You can sign up for all of them and get a bunch of cool promos. Then you can shop around for all of the odds. We've talked to you about it before. If you have any questions, message us podcast. We'll talk you through it.
We're 9 months in, guys. 9 months in from this being legal, basically. So there's still plenty of money. They're trying to win.
Isn't it
you
crazy
over.
that this is really the first year of football with sports betting here in Michigan?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Last week, Micah went 2-6. Kyle 3-5. Ryan 5-3. I went 4-4. Micah, you are leading the way right next to Kyle at 37-32. Ryan, you are 2 games back at 35-34.
Coming.
And I'm 3 games behind you at 32-37.
You guys were all wrong.
It's starting to get a little closer here, which is fun. We want it to go close here. Or stay close, I should say. Per usual, we're going to start with Thursday night football. We actually got 2 Thursday night games. One is college, one is NFL. Well, obviously, I hear NFL music, so we're sticking with NFL. We're Ravens at the Dolphins. Dolphins are plus 7.5. Kyle is taking the Ravens. Micah, what are you doing?
Give me Lamar and the Birds.
Ryan?
I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going Ravens.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to overthink it. That's a good word. Browns at the Patriots, minus 1.5. Kyle's taking the Browns. Micah?
This one I struggled with. Patriots are playing better ball, but I can't bet against the Browns in nearly a pick'em game. I'm going Browns.
Yeah, Ryan, go ahead.
Browns.
Yeah, I'm right there. I didn't take the Browns last week, and I'm ticked because I always take the Browns. I didn't. No,
I told you guys.
The Browns.
Told you guys.
Our last NFL game is the Lions at the Steelers. The Steelers are minus 9. Kyle's taking the Steelers. Micah?
I hate taking the Steelers, but I'm taking the Steelers.
Ryan?
Yeah, they didn't play super well last. What was it? Just on Monday. Yeah, but the Lions are bad. I'm taking Steelers.
I'm gonna take the Lions. I think 9 points is just too many. It is.
That's
the Lions
fair.
coming off the bye, and the Steelers are a team you can do that to.
What do they got? 3 or 4 losses?
Who? Steelers?
Yeah.
I'm not sure honestly. 3, I think. I think they're 5-3. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
I should have switched the music. What was I doing? That was really dumb. We're talking some college now. We got UNC at Pitt, and I'm not doing rankings. Is it Pitt? Were they on your ranking there? Where were they at? You have your
which poll?
the playoff one. You have it written down, don't you? Top 25. I thought you wrote it all down.
Well, I missed a few of them. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
No. Okay. Let's go.
Let's stop and let's
week.
wait for the answer.
Just pause the music. All right, don't talk about it. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
all right, we don't need to
You
worry
do
about
your thing.
UNC at Pitt, minus 6.5. Kyle is taking Pitt. Micah, what are you doing here?
Pittsburgh was 25 last week.
What are they this week?
I don't know.
Oh.
It's not there.
Oh, all right.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I am going to go Pitt.
Ryan.
So Sam Howell, right, against who's the other dude? I'm trying to get it right now.
Oh yeah, I don't know their quarterback's name. Pitts. I know that we're supposed to know his name. He's Scott. He's
Kenny Pickett.
He's soaring up draft wise.
Oh, he's soaring right now. So Sam Howell versus Kenny Pickett. Maybe one of them a future line. We'll see.
Pitt's 21.
21.
I will go with North Carolina. I still believe in this offense. I know I shouldn't. The run game was dominating last time, but yeah, I don't know.
I've gone back and forth on this one. UNC worked out for me last week, so I'm gonna stick with it. I don't think I should.
It's gonna be like 65-63 or something.
But 61 or 6.5 it seems like an awful
defense.
lot for when you're going against UNC. Their offense, like you said, right? It's clicking. I'm gonna take the points there. We got Oklahoma at Baylor, plus 5.5. Baylor lost last week. Were they in the rankings there? Did you see where they were?
Yeah.
Maybe just keep it up.
Yep. I'm definitely going to do that.
Oklahoma at Baylor, plus 5.5.
Baylor's 13.
Kyle is taking Oklahoma. Micah, what are you doing here?
Give me Baylor.
Ryan.
Oklahoma.
I'm taking Baylor.
Easy points.
6
Home underdog?
half?
5.5.
Oh, sorry. 5.5.
Yeah. We are actually doing an NBA pick here. I don't know if you guys saw this or not. This is a little different. So what we have Cade Cunningham against Jalen Green. They're going head to head. Number 1 overall pick, number 2 overall pick. I personally set the points at Green minus 3.5. total points between the two of them. Who you
All
taking?
right. This is you. You put 3.5.
I put Jalen Green minus 3.5. That was my number.
Oh boy.
Kyle's taking
He's gonna
Cade
do
Cunningham.
research right now. Come on, man.
Kyle's taking Cade Cunningham. Mike, what are you doing?
Give me Cade.
Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going Cade all day, baby. He's gonna lock up Jalen Green just like he did in the, I don't know, summer league.
I'm going to go with Green. I think Green is this very, very selfish player. I think we've learned that from comments. We've learned that early on this season. He's just going to shoot and shoot. His goal is to outscore Cade. That is his goal. That's his only goal. He doesn't care about winning. He doesn't care about losing.
Yeah.
Cade's more of a team player. I think Green's just going to shoot until his arms fall off.
Yeah,
so
this was
I think
a
he's
sucker
gonna make.
pick.
I think
This
he's
was a
going to
sucker
make
pick.
more and more points. Or just
Cade, it's gonna be a close game, and Cade's just gonna start raining threes in the fourth. Jalen Green's gonna force him.
But Green's going to score more points.
Is this what happened? He thought of a way to try and get one more win on us.
That was
Oh, yeah.
my way
And-
of trying to sneak one past
Oh, yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be wrong, and it's going to be fine.
And he's gonna be like, he's gonna think that we're just gonna be homers and pick Cade, and we all did.
Hometown blood, baby.
Figure that's what was going to happen. Next, we have our Sparty Party pick of the week. New England IPA with Mandarina, Bavaria, and Amarillo hops. 7% alcohol by volume. 53 IBUs. It is a great, great IPA from Big Lake Brewing. Shout out to them. They do have great beer all over the place. And then they have that Sparty Party beer. If you're a Sparty fan, you better be drinking it this Saturday. It's a big one. Don't let this one slip through your fingers.
Drinky.
Drink it
Big one.
straight. Maryland is at MSU, and MSU is a 13-point favorite. Kyle's taking MSU.
You gonna skip over that Michigan pick?
But we're going to go to Michigan next.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
confused me too.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I do. I switch it every week.
Got
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Kyle's taking State.
Kyle's taking State.
Micah.
Give me Sparty. They're a little angry. Gotta come out firing.
Ryan.
Oh man, this is kind of a sucker pick too. I feel like there's a lot of points, but I will go with Maryland and keep it closer.
I agree with you, but I'm not going to pick them. I'm going to
Figure.
take MSU.
You go, baby.
I think
Taking one.
I think Maryland's going to keep this a lot closer, but I'm going to take MSU because I want to make ground on them just as much as I want to make ground on you. So,
I agree with you.
well, I just said that.
Ryan?
Yeah, I can't take Maryland and lose another point against them is what I
There's
meant.
Chet Holmgren.
Moving on to our Hazen Blue pick of the week. Another great beer from Big Lake Brewing. Hazen Blue is a crushed with New England IPA featuring Citra Mosaic hops and brewed with real blueberries. 5.5% alcohol by volume, 20 IBUs. I actually did not drink one of these during the game on Saturday because I was at a fun little party. But Michigan, so Michigan actually opened as a 3-point favorite. It moved all the way down to Penn State as a 1-point favorite. I think currently right now it's a pick 'em. We're going to stick with Penn State -1. Kyle's taking Michigan. Mike, what are you doing?
I'm taking Michigan. I think they squeaked this one out, honestly.
Ryan?
Yeah, Michigan. I think they're the better team. I sure hope that means they win. But
Be careful.
Penn State, it just looks like they have too many holes.
I agree.
They will not be able to actually keep up scoring wise. And
Clifford's-
Michigan's defense is going to play a massive factor.
Clifford scares me a little bit because he can kind of get cute and
He can run.
move around and just make things happen that shouldn't be happening. And if our defense isn't responsible, that can really bite us. I think this team's going to be prepared, and I'm going to take Michigan to win this game. I hope they win by a lot. I hope it's fun. I hope we can be like, hey, told you. That'd be really nice. But those were our picks of the week. It is time to grade our Michigan beers for this episode, but before we do, I want to once again remind everyone of our partner, Siciliano's Market. They are simply the best beer store in West Michigan, located on Lake Michigan Drive, right between Grand Valley State University's main campus and downtown Grand Rapids. Wherever you live in West Michigan, it is worth the short drive for what they have to offer. Whether you know what you want or you need some help from their expert staff, Siciliano's Market is the best place for that. They not only have a massive and up-to-date inventory of the best craft beers from across our great nation, they're individually priced so you can mix and match to build your own six-pack. Along with their their great selection of craft beer. They have specialty wines, spirits, ciders, coffee, tea, tobacco, and cigars. They also have the largest selection of homebrew and winemaking supplies in West Michigan. We love that Siciliano's Market is part of the State of My Sports family and is who we visit to help us choose our Michigan beers for each and every episode. So please check them out and let them know that we sent you. Mike, can you remind everybody what we are drinking tonight? We're all drinking the same thing from DeHop's.
Yes, we are. Stan's Graham Cracker Ale, 5.4%er, smashed with 100 pounds of graham crackers. 100 pounds into one cup.
That's
Whoa.
one more than 99.
Into one cup.
That's a lot of pounds.
All of it's in one cup? There's 100 pounds in one cup?
A lot of LBs.
How do you fit 100 pounds in?
You gotta drink it like a dog. Can't lift something like that up.
No,
I thought it was really good, honestly.
This is good beer.
It was sweet, I thought, from the graham cracker, but, I mean, they said they're going graham cracker. They went graham cracker.
Well, and it's just so well blended, I feel like, too.
It is a really good beer. I was really happy with it.
I think the thing I like about this beer is it's easy to drink, but then you can do so many different variations. I think eventually you could maybe do like a chocolate and graham cracker.
Oh,
That's a good
man.
idea.
You could do a s'more type beer.
S'more.
S'more what?
S'more beer.
Dude, you know,
Killing me,
that's
Smalls.
a really good point because it's not like it was overpowering.
No.
It was still there and ready to,
You could do all sorts of fun stuff
change.
with that beer.
Yeah, good point.
I like this beer. I'm going to give it an 8.0.
I already wrote down my score.
Mine's 8.2.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah,
Mine's 8-1.
perfect.
We went 8-0, 8-1, 8-2.
Yeah, no, solid,
It
really,
is
really
a-
solid beer.
Ben did a great job with this one.
Yeah, and it's not like the most obvious, like a ton of flavor or anything like that, but it didn't need it.
No, yeah,
A little bit.
I think, yeah, it's just getting ready for the out, you
Yep.
know. Trying to do the hand
No, I gotcha.
motions. You got it?
What
You got
do you want me to put it at something specific?
0, I think.
At 0?
I think 0's
Okay, got
a
it.
thing. We did have a comment come through. She's not a Pilsner person too much, but this was actually really good. She was drinking the Arvon Brewing Company Trail Pils. She gave it a 7.9.
Nice.
She's the only one that follows the rules. We got people. I forgot to transfer.
Arvon was listening too, weren't they?
Yeah.
Don't-
Shout out to Arvon. Thanks for listening. Give us a beer grade.
That's where we're at. That was episode 130. Thank you guys. We moved through that pretty quick for how much we talked about. Thought we did a good job.
No, we
Well
didn't.
done, gentlemen.
We didn't?
No. No, it was a long one.
All right.
talked about
thank
a
you
lot.
guys for recording. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week, if not sooner.
Peace, guys.
You've been listening to State of My Sports. From the Red Wings to the Lions, to the Tigers to the Pistons, to Michigan and Michigan State, and everything in between, we're talking about it. And don't forget the beer. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. In the meantime, hook up with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch at State of My Sports with an MI. We'll see you next time.